Welcome to season 3, episode 10 of the Subway Conversation Chat. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy, and I'm here to talk some New York Yankees and Mets baseball with you all with my co-host, Joe Dalio. So, without any further ado, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going great. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Good. Obviously, backstage, we talked about how we still represent the Knicks through thick and thin and everything. The Yankees are tied right now, but they're on a little bit of a winning streak. And what did you think, Joe? The Mets won a game last week. And what do you think? They actually they turned the clock back. They turned the clock back and decided to use small ball to win. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is interesting, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Although they're hitting with a little bit more power as well. But yeah, again, haven't had too much of a chance to watch many Mets games. Again, got to represent my team in the finals here. So watching a lot of basketball, and there's another big particular international tournament coming up this week that's going to last the next month too. So, my mind's going to be focused on that as well. But still, the Mets, playing the right way or more of the right way. And again, I'll give some details about that later in the show. But yeah, definitely nice to see. And the fact that although I've been very critical of this team throughout the year, and I think that's merited, I'll give credit where it's due too. And, the lack of heart that I always criticize is, I'm seeing more a willingness to win, I guess you could say. There's still a lot of things wrong. It's not all good, but at least, again, we're getting started. And in the end, they're not too far off, I think.
Joe, you have to remember they showed a graph at this time. And guess what? At this time, 2 years ago, the Mets were actually one game worse than their record right now. And look, everybody remembers what happened in that season. Remember, they ended up making a run. So
yes, different circumstances, I think. But again, they're not that far off from that. And so that's a great stat there. I didn't even think about that. I didn't know that. But again, an excellent stat, and something, again, there's a couple other ones I'll talk about a little bit later on that again shows that they're not really too far off here, that if they can go on another run, they could, make some noise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now I'd like to start us off with our Yankees injury report. Obviously, you guys know what the big one is. Right fielder Aaron Judge with a right rib stress fracture. He thought the injury was initially maintained on April 26th. Judge will be assessed and reevaluated in about 4 to 6 weeks to seek the suitable future steps. Expected return, possibly August. Number 2, catcher Austin Wells with cervical headaches. On June 6th, Wells had testing done after complaining of headaches the day before. Tests shown that they were negative for a concussion. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yep. He is scheduled for an MRI and will not travel with the team. His expected return, TBD. That's to be decided. Number 3, we have left fielder Jason Dominguez, JR, with a left shoulder AC joint sprain. On June 5th, he began a rehab assignment with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. He will play more games in the minor league. Expected return possibly June. So now I'd like to turn it over to you, Joe, for some Mets news. Joe?
All right, thanks, Jamie. Again, we got 2 weeks worth of stuff to talk about here since we weren't on last week. It was my fault. Some family stuff going on. But I'll try to condense some of the stuff that's been going on the last 2 weeks. Now, again, they're dealing with some injuries. Part of that is management's fault for bringing injury-prone players in, but some of it is just kind of bad luck. Now, one piece of good news that they got going on is back into the lineup tonight is star catcher Francisco Alvarez. He had that torn meniscus, and he's back. He only missed like 4 weeks, and it could have been worse. So the fact that he's back now, it's ahead of schedule a little bit. He was absolutely smacking the ball, and hopefully he can get back to that. I remember saying at the time a month ago when he was doing so well and hitting the ball so hard, and all of his hard hit stats were amazing. The fact that he was staying healthy, and if he could stay healthy, he can maintain that and really, again, hit up to his potential. And then shortly after that, he did get hurt. So hopefully it doesn't take him long to get back to, where he was, again, hitting the ball really hard. Now, because of that, the Mets sent Hayden Senger down. He's like a third-string catcher. Luis Torrens doing a great job behind the plate, both defensively and offensively. Hayden Senger, not so much as far as the offensive side of the ball. So he was up there while Alvarez was gone, and now that Alvarez is back, they sent him down to AAA Syracuse. Now, some other injuries. Tyrone Taylor out until mid-June with a hip injury. Jorge Polanco, again, one of those injury-prone players that the Mets received about a week ago, put him on a rehab assignment. Not sure when he's going to be back. And, some other players that, guys like Senga, guys like Louis Roberts, not quite sure. They're making some progress with back issues, but not quite sure when they're going to be back. Now, they sent or some call-ups and send-downs. Jonah Tong, they were kind of excited to bring him up and see what he can do in the starting rotation. He struggled a little bit, as what I read is that the team is reshaping his mechanics. And when I talk about some of the pitching stats later on, I'll give some specifics about that. But they did send Jonah Tong back down to Syracuse to, again, kind of reshape those mechanics. And in his place, called up Joey Gerber, who had been pitching pretty solid. They brought him back up from AAA on June 3rd to reinforce the bullpen a little bit. So, again, nothing really as far as major moves being made. Now, that could change in the next month or two. We'll see where the Mets are and what some of the situations are and who exactly is going to be coming back and who's not. Some guy named Francisco Lindor still on the shelf here. They're thinking he could be back in the next couple of weeks. And, he's got that calf injury. Wasn't doing anything before that. So hopefully maybe, this extra training and extra time will get him back on track. But we'll see what happens with that. But really, again, not a lot of news, just some of these call-ups and send-downs. And again, good to have Alvarez back, and we'll see if he can make immediate impacts. So that's it as far as the initial news there. I'll send it back to you, Jamie, for some more Yankees news.
Okay. So anyway, Aaron Judge realizes his worst nightmare after playing through injured rib pain. Okay, what feared Yankee superstar Aaron Judge the most suddenly became true, as this past Thursday, when imaging revealed a stress fracture to Judge's right first rib instead of it being completely broken. He may have been better off. It's terrible to say, but he may have been better off breaking it instead of a stress fracture, so he wouldn't. At least it could be repaired.
Yeah, now I was reading about this earlier in the week. What caused that injury? Did he get hit with a pitch, or what was the cause?
Yeah, actually, it's not. It's a mystery. Actually, it's not really been reported. We don't really know. So, but anyway, so he had said he had been attempting to manage the pain for nearly 6 weeks. Wow. We have a quote here. "I'm very disappointed," Judge said on Friday at Yankee Stadium. "That's why we went through every measure we could to get every expert to take a look and see what was going on in there. It's definitely not what you want to hear, a fracture or anything like that."
Right.
So, out of the lineup for the Yankee series against the Guardians, Judge underwent an MRI, CT scan, and X-rays on successive days this week in New York. The team said that Judge will be re-imaged in 4 to 6 weeks to assess healing and the appropriate next steps in his recovery. Judge thinks the injury came from a diving play he made during a late April series against the Astros in Houston, and it continued to get progressively worse. Video reviews suggest it might have occurred on April 26th when he and second baseman Chisholm Jr. converged on a Dustin Harris fly ball. We have another quote. This dive in particular, trying to avoid a teammate, it's just an awkward situation where you put your body in a tough position, Judge said of the play.
Okay.
Judge admitted that crashing into walls didn't help. Yet he did not miss any games until Tuesday, with manager Aaron Boone saying he noticed the issue was getting worse during the club series against the Athletics in West Sacramento. Judge's performance fell off around May 13th. From that day forward, he only batted 180, was 11 for 61 with 1 homer and only 8 RBIs.
Yeah, he's not the only Yankee that crashes into walls. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't somebody else hurt themselves by crashing into a wall?
Oh, diving into the stands. Yeah, Derek
Oh, that's
Jeter.
right. That's right.
Yep. And we have a quote, or I was feeling the symptoms this past month, and we kind of did everything we could to make sure we could be out there, Judge said. In Sacramento, it just got a little worse. I fought as long as I could. The biggest thing was that I just couldn't swing the way I wanted to, and Sacramento was the worst. Still, general manager Brian Cashman was caught off guard when he heard athletic trainer Mike Schuck call him on Monday, recommending that Judge undergo imaging. And we have another quote. Prior to that, it was not on anybody's radar in any way, shape, or form, Cashman said. It developed a little bit, I think, in the manager-player conversation in Sacramento at the tail end of the series. But prior to that, it really wasn't on anyone's radar, from players to trainers in the front office. Boone said he was aware Judge had been receiving treatment, noting guys are dealing with things all the time. Asked why he continued to play through it, Judge replied, and quote, "We got a lot of guys banged up. You got to be out there. That's what they're paying me to do, to go out there and play."
Mm-hmm.
You got to love the guy's toughness and willingness. It's just, fortunately,
Yeah, there's never a doubt about that.
yeah. In a corresponding move, the club recalled outfielder Spencer Jones from AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre on Friday. And guess what? He's already, last time I checked, he was 2 for 2. His first hit was his first big league 2-run home run against the Guardians. But anyway, AAA in 10 games during his first call-up, the 25-year-old Jones posted a slash line of 167 with a 259 slugging percent, or on-base percentage, plus a 167 slugging percentage with 2 RBIs. Over the next several weeks, Jason Dominguez and potentially even Giancarlo Gimpy Stanton could re-enter the outfield picture. Jose Caballero and Max Schumann played right field during the Cleveland series. Jones has in right field on Friday against the Red Sox. And everybody says, Mr. Jones, everybody just wants to be really, really big stars. Well, Spencer Jones, everybody really, really wants to hit their first big league home run, and he did.
Excellent.
So, and we have a quote. Obviously, you're not going to replace Aaron Judge, and we all know how important he is to our club, Boone said. But we're also very confident in our ability to go out there and absolutely have the expectation to continue to win games. Yeah, it's called their starting pitching and their minor league prospects. So,
and they got some other guys that can hit too.
Yep. Judge's diagnosis came after a consultation with Dr. Gregory Pearl of Dallas, who specializes in theoretic outlet syndrome management, high performance athletes, according to his practice's website. However, Judge said this was not a concern for him. And we have a quote. I don't think theoretic was ever involved in this at all. I don't know where that came from, Judge said. The worst thing that I had in my eyes was a fractured rib, which is what we got. Judge said the rib fracture is near the same spot as is the one he sustained in September 2019, also while attempting to do a diving catch. Over the years since, Judge has made efforts to be more conservative in certain areas of his preparation, but he has no plans to change his outfield play. So, Joe, how unfortunate is it that Aaron Judge suffered a minor fracture to the rib, but it was a similar one that he had in September of 2019, and he goes and does it again now? Not on
Yeah, it
purpose,
is.
obviously, but go ahead.
Right. No, it is sad because as a baseball fan, you want to see a Judge playing in these games, right? He's great for baseball, and it's just sad to see something like this happen. And especially because of hustle, right? Because of effort, because of diving for a ball, probably anyway. Again, you said it's a mystery, but they seem to have some clues about that. And again, the same type of hustle play that cost him back, what was it, 7 years ago. So hopefully, again, he'll take the necessary time to heal and he'll come back and be able to swing comfortably and get back to the Aaron Judge that we all know. But again, the Yankees have a great lineup that can hit. And you know what happens, Jamie, when it starts getting warmer and hotter in New York, right? In the Bronx, those pop-ups to right field become home runs. So Yankees have plenty of players that can do that. And again, it might be by committee, but I think they have a good enough offense that even though Aaron Judge is going to be missed, it's not going to kill the whole offense.
We also have the personnel with the way our pitching is to play some small ball too, if they want to, like stealing bases and, getting singles and things like that, kind of like what the Mets are doing. The Yankees are kind of in the similar situation.
Right.
So,
with some younger players in there doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Anyway, why should the Yanks, in your opinion, why do you think they should not rush him to bring him back, even if it costs them a few games here or there? Because Rich and I were talking about this on the baseball show last Saturday that Jeremy does. You should come on it sometime. I don't know if you know Jeremy, it'd be pretty interesting. But anyway, he was saying that they should really be patient with him, and they said don't rush him just because the media or the fans get, the new impatient New York media and fans get frustrated. He's saying don't rush him just to bend the knee to them. I wonder if, and I agree with that. Do you?
I do. That's hard though, because you got a player that wants to come back as soon as he can. You got a fan base that's not patient. So that's tough. But again, Yankees management has the ultimate decision on that. And I completely agree with that. You don't want to rush the guy. You want the real Aaron Judge, right? You don't want some guy that could potentially get hurt again when you need him even more and risk further injury and a lengthier delay. So I definitely think you wait as long as possible. Again, it's tough because he wants to get back out as soon as possible and play and contribute, which is understandable. That's how he is. He's a gamer. But at the same time, you got to be careful with that. And if I'm Yankee management, I'm as patient as we can be, especially if these younger guys produce and keep, the Yankees can keep scoring runs at a good pace.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, they also haven't had starting pitching this good in a long time that can make up for it too.
That's it. You have, pitching that you're not going to have to score as many runs, although they're fully capable of doing that. So there's several reasons, a number of reasons why you can afford to be patient. If this was a young club that, was desperate, all right. Or, maybe if the window was closing, for example, and you thought this might be your last chance, but that's not the case with this team. So again, I completely agree with you, Rich, anybody else who says it. I think you wait and you be as patient as possible.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, speaking of that, we're going to continue on with the segment. What 3 ways Judge's injury could shift Yankees and the potential AL in general? So anyway, the Yankees will be without Aaron Judge for a while, perhaps all the way into August. It's no secret that he leaves quite a hole in the Bronx from his physical 6'7" frame to his receptive MVP bat, or no, to his explosive MVP bat, and 3 times. Sorry, 6'7" frame to his 3-time MVP bat and his superstar presence in the game's biggest market. Mm-hmm. But what kinds of ripple effects will this injury have on the Yankees, the AL East, and more scenarios around the MLB? The postseason picture in the AL is wide open, and the Yankees have proven to be a much different team over the years when Judge is in the lineup. Since the start of the 2021 season, the Yankees are .453, .316 with a .589 win percentage with Judge in the lineup, scoring 4.9 runs per game with a team .757 OPS according to Elliott Sports Bureau. Elliott Sports Bureau, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, however, the record falls to 45-58 with a .437 win percentage, while scoring only 3.8 runs per game with a team .672 OPS. Even in a smaller sample size, those numbers are quite the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
But it still could be okay, as in 2019, the Yankees slugger missed 60 games, and the club still went 42-18 without him.
Okay.
But in 2026, the potential breakout of Ben Rice and hopefully, bless you, a strong year from Cody Bellinger can help the 2026 team stay afloat. And I'm going to keep saying it, they're starting pitching. Let's take a look into some of the potential ways Judge's injury could create. Number one, Spencer Jones earns more of a look. Well, he definitely has done that so far, going 2 for 2 with his first big league home run. It was 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 on Friday when they lost to in his first call-up when they lost to the Sox. But maybe the absence of Judge won't be affected with fellow 6'7" outfielder Spencer Jones being called up on Friday. Jones, New York's number 6 prospect, had his first cup of coffee in the big leagues earlier this season, slashing 167 with a 259 on base percentage and a 167 slugging percentage with 2 RBIs in 10 games. He has Judgonian power instead of Stantonian, Judgonian power, but he does tend to whiff a lot, as he recorded 12 strikeouts to 3 walks in his first MLB stint. Jones can also play defense in center field, right field, and a DH. In his first game back, Jones was 3 for 3 and looked more comfortable at the plate. The 25-year-old has been patiently waiting for his chance because New York's outfield has been logjam with established players, including some guy on the Mets, Joe, your guy, Juan Soto, was on the team for 1 year, right?
That's right.
The situation may not be the best, but this should help Jones have more of a clear runway to prove whether he's ready to break through after continuing to hit and just rake AAA pitching. Next, we have 2 AL Central. Number 2 is the AL Central gets a chance to feast.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest benefactors of Judge's extended absence could be teams from the AL Central. This division is as wide open as Creed's arms. As the Cleveland Guardians currently have a 10.5 game lead over the Royals, but the Royals, despite being in last place, are only 5.5 games back of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
That just tells you that nobody's really going to run away, I think, with this division. If they keep this pace.
Right. I know another bad team that's only 5 games out of the wild card, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Right. Ooh, we have a comment from Dirty South Entertainment. Hey, that's Marcus. Our friend. He goes, "Hello, fellas. How you doing, Marcus? Thanks for the comment."
Yes. Thanks for checking in. I saw that comment. I was waiting for Jamie to finish there, but you caught it first. So good to see you, Marcus.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Including this week's series loss to Cleveland, the judgeless Yankees face AL Central teams in 7 of 16 series in June and July, compared to only 3 AL East foes. That includes the Guardians twice, the Tigers twice, the White Sox twice, the emerging White Sox. What a story that is, right?
That's hard to believe.
Yep, and the Twins once. Rays have a clear path to the division. That's the third and final thing. Tampa Bay still owns the AL best record. I'm going to change that to 38-25 because they had 37.
Okay.
Okay. So they have the AL best record at 38-25. The Rays and the Yanks are tied for first place in the AL East, with the Rays having the tiebreaker due to win percentage, 597 versus 594. But this division race should be fun. On paper, the Rays played the Bombers without Judge in a 4-game set at Yankee Stadium in early July. Can the Rays use this chance to run away with the East? Hopefully not. So, Joe, how crazy is it that Spencer Jones now already has a longer lead in pinstripe with Judge out, and the fact that he was 3 for 3 in his first game, and now he's, the last time I checked, he was 2 for 2, and he hit and he already hit his first big league home run.
Yeah, guys like him and others are going to get opportunities through this. And that's one silver lining, I guess you could say, when you get a situation like this. I mean, you'd rather have Aaron Judge, of course, but good to see some of the young guys not only get chances, but taking advantage of those chances. And you were talking about some of these other teams here too. Now, one thing I like to look at, to comment on something else you said, is, there's a stat called expected wins and losses. And according to this stat, the Rays are frauds. Okay. And what I mean by that is you said they're like 38-25. Mm-hmm. Based on their expected record and what it should be based on certain factors, they have them that they should be at 32-31. So I think the Rays are going to come back to earth a little bit. Now the Yankees are 39-26 or something. Yeah. And their expected record based on some of the, the information here is like 43-22.
And that's without that is that counting minus with Judge or without Judge?
That's a very good question. It doesn't say. So I wonder.
But that's scary to think either way, right? 43-22 with or without him,
I guess that's based on what I guess has happened so far.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that changes going forward. But what that tells me, and a statistic like that tells me, now it's not always, totally accurate, but the Rays are going to regress at some point and come back. And it tells me that the Yankees haven't exactly hit their total stride yet. Now, again, there you got the Judge factor there, and maybe it's going to be a little delayed as far as them hitting that. But I don't think we've seen the best of the Yankees yet. And this is saying that, again, eventually the Rays are going to come back down to earth. So, again, that remains to be seen. So I think the Yankees have that going for them. The White Sox, I mean, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. 2 years ago, the worst team in baseball history, and now a playoff team all of a sudden. Again,
it's because they've been collecting those prospects, and now instead of getting rid of them, they're developing them and trying to develop a young core.
Right, but it seems like the White Sox have been collecting prospects forever. And they had like 1 or 2 good years with those prospects, and then everything went haywire again. And again, their expected record is pretty much right around where they are. I think they're 34-31, and the expected record there has them at like 33-32. So pretty much right where they are. So they're legit. Now that tells me they can go either way. This can continue, or maybe they, one big losing streak can send them, right back. but it's just a great story. It's great to see a team like that doing well. But again, things remain to be seen. I think the Yankees are going to be okay in the division because none of the other teams in that division scare me. And again, a lot of these other teams don't scare me either. I still think the Yankees are the class of the American League. Now, I predicted, the Tigers to win the American League, and that doesn't look like it's happening as they sit in second to last place and are really struggling. You got some teams out west that, again, haven't hit their stride either. I think the Mariners are a great team, and they're starting to play their potential. I think the Texas Rangers, even though they're under 500 right now, I predicted them to win that division, and I still think they will. And, so you got some factors, throughout the American League that the Yankees are going to have to contend with. But I think they're going to be fine, again, based on that excellent pitching staff that you keep talking about. And I think you're totally right about that. I think, it's a big losing streak prevention there when you got a pitching staff like that. Chances are you're not going to go on a major losing streak here. And I think the Yankees haven't even hit their stride yet. I think they're going to get better even without Aaron Judge. Time will tell, and we'll see. But I think with the lineup they have and the pitching that they have, they're going to be in good shape, and they really don't have a lot to worry about. The only thing, again, you worry about is Judge going to come back fully healthy, and is he going to be able to play like the Aaron Judge that we all know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, Joe, what do you think of the fact that the Yankees are actually still sitting here tied with the Tampa Bay Rays, and even though they just lost Judge, what do you think of that?
Yeah, like I said, I think the Rays are going to regress. Not to take away from them. It's a good story as well. And I love to see small market teams like that succeed. They seem to be the only team in the American League that knows how to win at home. It's like they're glad to be back at the Trop because I think they have the best home record in baseball, if I'm not mistaken, or at least in the American League. So, we'll see if that continues. But I think, again, they're going to come back down to earth according to some of these statistics here. And I think the Yankees are going to progress even more. So, again, the Rays, if I'm a Yankees fan, the Rays don't scare me. Nobody in the American League East scares me right now.
Yeah, see, the difference with the Rays is the Rays have pitching, but the thing, their hitting isn't that great. The Yankees, I think, are a more, even without Judge, they can hit and pitch. Tampa's just got pitching. The Yankees got pitching and hitting.
Right. And I think that's going to hurt them as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, now let's turn it over one more time. We're going to celebrate to Joe for some Mets updates, or as you would, or if you sing the song in Spanish, un vez más.
There you go. This Spanish teacher is always going to encourage that. But also what I encourage is weeks like the Mets had. And again, 2 weeks we're talking about here because, again, we haven't been on since the 26th of May. And since that time, the Mets are 7-3. All right. And outscoring their opponents 55-29. So the fact that it's a 10-game stretch makes the math quite easy there. Outscoring their opponents basically 5.5-3. So that good pitching that they've been getting, especially in relief, continues. Again, giving up 3 runs a game, certainly not going to hurt anything here. And scoring 5.5, which hasn't always been the case this year for the Mets, certainly trending in the right direction. Now, some highlights here as far as the hitting. Carson Bench, remember that slow start that he got off to? Well, that seems to be a thing of the past as he had another great couple of weeks here. 1064 OPS over these 10 games with 4 home runs and 8 RBIs, including a 5-for-5 game on Sunday, including a home run and a triple in that game as well. So Carson Bench smacking the ball. Again, high hard hit rates, his speed rating that is very good. So Carson Bench doing it all right now. And it's good to see. Again, he made the roster opening day. right at the end of spring training, got off to that tough start, and you thought maybe he was going to be sent back down, but he's definitely gotten it together and really, again, showing why the Mets brought him up. Now, Marcus Semien, again, out of all of those, I don't know if you want to say overrated or overaged free agent pickups that the Mets picked up, he seems to be doing the best at this point. Again, a good couple of weeks. Also 4 home runs over the past couple of weeks, 6 RBIs, 916 OPS. So Semien making some contributions there. Now, that's not to take away from, Bo Bichette. The stats aren't there, but he's still hitting the ball pretty well and, may turn the corner there. Just the stats don't back it up at this point. Now, we were talking about Jared Forever Young in the beginning of the season, who was an excellent utility outfielder and was really hitting the ball well. In fact, that's his walk-up song, too, at Citi Field, Forever Young, every time he comes to bat. So my favorite out of the Mets walk-ups. But had that unfortunate injury and was out for about a month. And you were wondering how he was going to come back. Well, last couple of weeks, how about a 909 OPS? Now, I was looking at some of these other things, 55.5% hard hit rate. So not only good stats here, but he's hitting the ball, 92.5 average exit velocity, team leading max exit velocity over this time at 107, a little over 107. So certainly didn't lose anything from that injury time, coming right back and playing even just as good, if not better, since the injury. Other Mets struggling, you got Vientos and Beatty that are supposed to be making strides. They have their moments, and Vientos was hitting the ball really hard for a while, and he's kind of regressed. And Beatty, again, is an MVP candidate one week and then a minor league candidate the next week. So you never know which Brett Beatty's going to show up. Right now, downtime, but he can wake up at any moment and, make contributions. But again, it would be nice to see some of that consistency in there. Now, let's go to the pitching side a little bit. I'll talk starting pitching, and a pitcher that I've always been high on, that I've always liked to watch, Christian Scott. And, he was injured. He missed some significant time. But I tell you what, since he's come back with a vengeance. Over the last 2 weeks, he's had a 0.84 ERA. So basically just 10 and 2/3 innings, 1 earned run. Now 8 hits giving up in that time, but 11 strikeouts over that time as well. So basically a strikeout per inning. So good to see Christian Scott. Again, you hated to see him go out because of that injury, and you wondered how he'd come back, but certainly hasn't lost a step. Now, a guy that the Mets were considering like DFAing not too long ago, all of a sudden is pitching like the guy that they had a couple of years ago that they signed to this extension, some guy named Sean Manaea. And he's been pitching in relief, and it seems like he's gotten it together. 12 innings pitched over the last 10 games, since that Tuesday. 12 innings pitched. He did give up 4 earned runs over that time, which isn't horrible. But here's an encouraging stat: 13 strikeouts in those 12 innings. So still got some bite on those pitches and still making some impacts and getting hitters to miss. Definitely good to see him pitching much better. I've heard announcers say some pitchers have filthy stuff, right? And I guess I didn't quite understand that until seeing Devin Williams pitch. You want to talk about a guy with filthy stuff. Devin Williams, the closer of the Mets, has that. 4 innings pitched, only 1 hit over that time, 8 strikeouts, making batters look silly. Had a save over that time as well. And good to see him pitching consistently well, too. Now, if somebody, speaking of saves, a little ironic here, somebody that hasn't been pitching too well throughout the year, David Peterson, actually got a save the other day. I didn't understand the circumstance of why they brought him in at that time, but ended up with a save. And so maybe, I don't know if they're thinking of perhaps putting Peterson towards the back of the bullpen, perhaps. I haven't heard anything about that, but it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that, especially if he's going to be getting saves. Now, some of the other starters, like Peralta, who's getting smacked around tonight, by the way. The last I checked, the Mets were losing 6-0 with Peralta starting the game. So, again, he has his moments, but also has these moments. And so you wonder how long he might be around. He's, again, looking for a contract extension, certainly not going to make his case with performances like tonight. So we'll see what happens with him. Nolan McLean is, again, he started off so well and then had a couple of rough starts and kind of got it back together a little bit. But the concern is the strikeout numbers are significantly lower than they were in the beginning of the season. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, also in the beginning, I was talking about Jonah Tong and how he was sent down to help fix his mechanics. So what the Mets saw, this was something I read before he was optioned back down to Syracuse. They were saying his underlying metrics raised some red flags, that hitters were easily tracking his release point, as they said, his high 3/4 release point. And hitters were picking up pretty easily. So they sent him down specifically to lower his arm angle and kind of tweak his horizontal pitch design to kind of build up his deception. Okay. So again, hitters were picking up the ball too easily. I guess they noticed that and they're going to try to do something about it. So that's why he's going down to the minor leagues to try to finagle with that and fix it. And we'll see if he can come back to the Mets shortly. So again, the Mets overall pitching staff, the middle relief especially, pitching consistently well. Even the guys in the back of the bullpen, again, doing well there and pitching very well and keeping the Mets in games. Now, overall, the Mets are at 29-36. But again, talking about that expected record, they have a -5 run differential. So as bad as things have been all year, again, the Mets, their expected record, instead of 29-36, the stats are saying it should be 32-33. So much closer to 500 here. As bad as things have been and as heartless as this team has played, they're still only 5 games out of a wild card. Now, the division is much further away. They got the Braves in the division who are playing very well. And, again, according to those expected statistics and everything, it doesn't seem like that's going to change anytime soon. So first place is far out of reach, about 15 and a half games away. But, the National League wildcard race is wide open. There's really no teams that are going to be impossible to catch, besides the division leaders. You got the Dodgers, and that's a given. The Brewers, God only knows how they do it, but they're playing like the World Series contender that they've been over the past few years. Every year I say it. Every year I'm wrong, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, this is the year the Brewers take a step back. This is the year, even though they're going to compete and be competitive and play with heart, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And here they are once again, one of the best teams in the National League and playing solid fundamental baseball in every aspect of the game. But again, you got teams that are not impossible to catch. The whole National League Central is playing very well, but a few of those teams I think are playing over their heads. I think the only one that's not is the Chicago Cubs. I think they're one of those teams that, again, you look at the metrics here, I think you're going to see them distance themselves from some of these wild cards and compete for the division. I really believe that. But every other team in the National League, I think, is not in much of a better situation than the Mets are. So again, it's hard to be optimistic about this team with how heartless they've played and how mismanaged they are and how many things are still wrong with this team. But a lot more stuff is starting to go right, and that may carry throughout the season. And like you said earlier in the show, Jamie, there's only a 1-game difference between this team and the team that went to the LCS 2 years ago. So stay tuned, and at least I feel like we got some reason for optimism. But as soon as I say that, I said this a few weeks ago, and they went on another, heartless stretch where they scored like runs in microscopic numbers. So that potential is still there. But some guys are playing not up to their potential. And if they start playing up to their potential, can make a difference. And guys like Alvarez coming back, and maybe Francisco Lindor playing like he's supposed to play. Juan Soto's been solid. I haven't mentioned his name, but he's been doing his part. He was really hitting the ball well a couple of weeks ago and kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's not the problem. He's hitting the ball like Juan Soto should, and doing well. So no complaints there. So I'll end here by looking ahead a little bit. You got 3 against the Cardinals. Again, tonight's game does not look good. As last I checked, again, it was 6-0 that the Mets were losing, and it looks like that's still the case. So hopefully they could take 2 out of 3 in that series, and then they have 3 games against the Braves coming in. So a chance maybe to put a dent and make up some ground again. If they can take 2 out of 3 in that series and show up and play like a team that's interested in competing here for a wild card spot, or thinking about a division, now's their chance to prove that with the Braves in town at Citi Field for 3 games. So that's where we're at with the Mets. Again, as bad as things have been, there's still reason to think that they might be able to do something here. So I'm going to send it back to you.
And last I checked, it's top of the 7th. Yankees are tied at 2. So
okay.
So.
And they're saying we have another comment here. I think it says Paul there.
Paul 369. That's Boston Paul. He's with Jeremy B. He's on our baseball show on Saturday night. Good to thanks for commenting, Boston Paul. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And you're right. I agree with you there, Paul. Vientos is disappointing. He had a stretch there where he was smacking the ball for a while, but really he's not hitting his potential. And yeah, Beatty, again, he's got that potential, but he's just got to start showing it a little more consistently. So yeah, good comments. Thank you.
Anyway, we're going to move over to the Yankees news. Yankees place Austin Wells on the IL, call up Ali Sanchez to pair with Escara behind the plate. 2 weeks ago, Austin Wells expressed frustration with his performance as the Yankees starting catcher using the word terrible to describe his stat line. There may now be a better explanation for those underwhelming performance or results. Wells was placed on the 10-day injury list Saturday after diagnosed with cervical headaches, adding another layer of uncertainty to a catching situation that has shifted dramatically within the past 24 hours. Yankees manager Aaron Boone said that Wells complained last Friday about neck discomfort and headaches, but the concussion testing was negative, and the team plans for Wells to go through a battery of tests on Sunday. We have a quote here. Catchers get hit, so it's tough to say if it's cumulative stuff, Boone said after the Yankees' scheduled game against the Red Sox was postponed on Saturday. Friday night, he noticed he felt like just with his neck and headaches. So obviously we want to look into that. In a similar move, the Yankees recalled catcher J.C. Escara, the Uber driver from AAA. Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Escara had been optioned to the minors after Friday's 5-3 loss to the Red Sox, with Ali Bumaye Sanchez promoted to the majors. Wells' situation spurred a quick change of plans. Anyway, we have a quote here. Late last night after Austin had come in, I had called JC to say, don't go to Scranton yet, Boone said. He was staying in New York and was kind of packing up his place and stuff. Wells was slashing 166 with a 533 OPS with 4 home runs and 7 RBIs through 17 games. 97 games. Sorry, no. No, 17 games. 17 games. I bad. My one looked like a 9. Sorry. He slashed a 219 average with a 711. Oh, thank heaven. OPS with 21 homers and 71 RBIs in 106 games last year. So I guess he went from a big gulp last year to just a gulp size soda, right?
To
Joe,
just a Slurpee.
7-Eleven terms.
Yeah, to a Slurpee, I guess, right?
Yep. Anyway, Boone said Wells's timeline will depend on results of Sunday's testing, noting hopefully it's short. So for now, the Yankees will field a catching tandem of Escara and Sanchez. Entering Saturday, the Yankees ranked 28th in the majors in catchers OPS, only 527, 24th in batting average, 171, 25th in on-base percentage, 268, and 28th in slugging percentage, 259. Sanchez said he was a little surprised when he heard of his promotion filtered through the dugout on Friday evening, about halfway through his Rail Riders combined no-hitter of the Syracuse Mets. Also, a AAA Subway Series down there, Joe, right? Our AAA.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, we have a quote. They told me to leave quietly, Sanchez said on Saturday. But the boys, when they saw me picking up everything, packing everything up, they got a little excited too. We have another quote from Boston Paul. He's talking about Peralta.
Yeah, I saw that. He's totally right. That's not the Peralta that we expected. I'm not so sure how long he stays with the Mets, to be honest with you. Another good comment that I agree with.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Joe, what do you make of the news of Austin Wells put on the 10-day IL? And the good news is, but even better news that he avoided a possible concussion.
Yeah, again, you hate to see it because we were talking about Judge being a gamer before and wanting to perform his best. I mean, Wells is the same way. He's a gamer. He wants to be out there all the time and contribute. And, is going to be hard on himself when he doesn't and when he's not playing up to his capability. So you hate to see a player like that go down. But, again, you player first, safety first, and just make sure you're ready to perform at your best. So sometimes you got to take some time off to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And what do we make of this Ali Sanchez, or as I call him, Ali Boumaye Sanchez, earning his first big league call-up?
Yeah, again, good for you, or good for him. And again, I was going to say, you're always aware of these players and the minors and their status and
actually, Joe, I've never heard of them either.
Right. But it's good to see guys like that. And like we said with Judge, how players are going to get their opportunities. Same with any injury situation that, it's good to see these guys get their chance and even more take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of guys getting their chances, let's take a look at Down on the Farm with prospects. We're going to start out with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. We're going to start out with always, and hopefully I don't have to say his name much longer because he'll be promoted, shortstop George Lombard Jr. Lombard Jr. was 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and 1 stolen base. He just turned 21 on June 2nd and still has a path to make his MLB debut very, very soon. Right fielder Oswaldo Cabrera. Anyway, Cabrera went 2 for 4 with 1 strikeout and has an open window to return to the Yanks with Judge injured. Next, we have the AA Somerset Patriots. DH Jackson Castillo. He was 1 for 2 with 1 run, 2 walks, a strikeout, a stolen base, and was caught stealing 1 time. And then we have left fielder DJ Gladney going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, 1 run, 1 strikeout, 1 home run. And I guess that was another one for his home run. Next, we have High A Hudson Valley Renegades. And we're going to be talking about this kid, too, because he was born into baseball royalty. Shortstop Caden Kent, who was drafted last year and is already on high A Hudson Valley. Didn't have to play single A or low A. He went right to Hudson A. He went right to high A ball after being drafted. So that's a good sign, I guess.
Would he be the son of some guy named Jeff?
Yep. The son of Hall of Famer Jeff Kent. So Caden Kent was 4 for 5 with a double and a strikeout. The son of Jeff Kent keeps impressing in his first year of pro ball, and he's quietly trying to work his way up the system too.
Great.
Maybe he'll get a promotion to double A really soon if he keeps playing like this. Anyway, so Joe, what do you think of George Lombard Jr. finally being 21 and yet still very close to making his MLB debut? It's still such a young age like that.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time, right? I mean, everything you're saying kind of points to him being here at some point. And I've learned a lot just from listening to you and some of the information about this guy. So I'd be very curious to see him. And when, I stress when he gets to the Yankees, I'll definitely be watching, and it'll be interesting to see how he does. But I think that's based on what you're saying. I think that's going to happen sooner, more sooner than later.
Yep. And how about the son of Jeff Kent, Caden Kent, already having an impressive day, but really making quite a first impression in his first season of pro ball after being drafted just last year.
Yeah, Jeff Kent was one of my favorite players for a while, and with the Blue Jays, with the Mets, and so it's great to see his son doing well and moving up so fast and being successful very quickly. So he's not going to be in these lower minor leagues very long if he continues to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, the second Tuesday of June?
Wow, second Tuesday of June. Now, you say that word June, teachers like me get excited. So vacation's not too far away. But you can find me on Joe Dell Sports on Twitter, X, some appearances, obviously, on this show, some others around this network, more so as vacation time gets closer. So you can find me there, and you can find me on my knees praying that by the next time that we speak, the New York Knicks will be NBA champions. So go Knicks.
Yep. Go New York, go New York, go. Anyway, you can find me on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X, Buffalo Down, and thefortball.com, where I write about all sports. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and hit that bell for all notifications. And for more content on Driving the Top Production, you can visit us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, wherever you get your podcast. For Joe Dalio, this is Jamie Malloy, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. on the Subway Conversation Chat, only on Driving to the Top Productions. Good night, everybody.
Have an excellent week.